Hello guys, my name is NaToSaphiX. Today we have another video, and this time it is a retake video on Nuke. Now it's something we don't see too much in Pro CS, but I'm here going to convince you why I think this is exactly something you should be doing with your team, and potentially even in Pugs if you play a 3-man stack or something like this. So we've got 3 topics to cover. The last would be probably the most important, but the first one is, in what situations do you end up in retake A? Or in what situations can you end up in retake A? This is worth for you to know, because if you don't understand when to use it, you won't understand how to use it, basically. So that's topic number 1. Topic number 2 is danger areas. Danger areas is just talking about where can the T's be and how can they react to whatever we are doing. Basically teaching you all the common reactions from the T's, and also explaining you why a lot of it is really difficult to do. Then the last thing we're going to do is show you the utility, and I'm going to explain you exactly why it is good. So let's go to the first topic just straight off the bat. Why, in what situations is this something good? So, talking about that, I can start by saying the situation where playing retake A is not good is in situations where the T side is rushing the A side. If the T's are rushing A side, they will have a bunch of smokes left. They're going to be able to smoke main, they're going to be able to smoke you heaven, use molotovs. And even if you have a perfect retake scenario in terms of keeping your utility and having the right positioning, you won't win this round. So if you are expecting that the T side is going to rush A, now is not the time to play retake A. So now that we have that covered, we can talk about when is it a good idea to play retake A. So playing retake A is something, in my opinion, you should do when you are expecting either ramp or outside. You can imagine if we're anyway playing to forfeit the A bomb side and we're playing retake A, we can have enough in just one guy playing some kind of jiggle info on A, and if he gets contact or if the T side starts using utility on the A bomb side, you just do a little bit of chip damage if you can with maybe an A-Shi or something like this, and then you play for the retake. Now, this allows you to play 2 people committed on destroying outside and 2 people committed on playing ramp, or for example having 1 ramp player and then having 3 guys doing a very aggro play on the outskirts of the map. So this is the situations where playing retake A is good, because typically if the T side is playing a default round, they will be hitting the A bomb side later, and they will use utility to fake, something like doing the wall of smokes outside, which means they have less utility to block your retake when you are wanting to do it. That is basically the when not to use it and when to use it. Moving over into the danger areas, well, there are a few. When we are retaking as CT, it's very common for a T to be here. It's also possible that a T is sitting here holding main. It's also possible that a T is playing Tetris. It can be a pretty good angle if you crouch, or if you stand up, you have headshot angles. You're able to swing on a lot of positions like main. You're playing a little bit like a Joker. Same can somewhat be said about CT vent. It's a position where you probably won't have the first contact on heaven, but you are able to swing for main and you're able to trade for heaven. So kind of like Tetris a little bit. There are also some people who play this angle. I think it's very powerful. If you play like this, especially in CSGO, a lot of CTs used to play with like a one-way smoke in heaven, and this was like the best angle to counter that. You can hold this, and if the CTs want to push out this way with a flash, you're likely not blind. If the CTs push out here, you're able to trade your guys on site or your guy on CT vent. And then there is also T vent, which is a really strong angle to play with AWP. There's also playing a little bit more passively door, where you're able to maybe jiggle main, or you're able to trade main if they come in. And there's also top of hot, which I guess is kind of a danger area, but it is very easy to clear. We'll get into this, so this is not a position you will see that often in retake. Now that we have identified when is it good to do, when is it not good to do, and now that we've identified the danger area, so basically what we want to counter, now I'm going to show you exactly how we are going to approach our retake. So, I will show you just the utility, and then I will explain the why after. So the first piece of utility that you will want to be saving, this is very important when you want to be retaking on Nuke A side, you want to be keeping as much utility as you can, simply because you're going to need this for the retake, and you're anyway not playing to win the round elsewhere with nades, most likely. So what we need for this retake to be good is we need our A player who is playing retake to have basically a full set, except he doesn't necessarily need his HE. And then we need probably our AWP player to save one more set. So having 2 full sets is the ideal scenario, but we can win it with less. Our Heaven player, who is a rifle player, he will be doing this smoke. So you see this lamp? In the middle of the lamp there is a line, and if you follow this down, there are 2 small screws that look a little bit darker. If we put our crosshair on the right side and we slow walk forward and let go, this is not supposed to happen. Sorry, I slow walked a little bit too far forward. I'm a little bit nervous, guys. If you take just a few steps here, the smoke goes inside hot and pops like this. So now we have a smoke that completely blocks any hot angle, and it means that if a T now wants to play, he has to play on a worse angle, or he has to be playing here, ready to swing on Tetris, CT vent, or door. So by doing a hot smoke, we are pushing the hot player out of hot, and it still allows him to have a lot of impact, but it at the same time makes it so he can't just hold any like ready off angle, basically. He now, instead of holding like a frustrating angle and being ready to trade, he now can only be ready to trade. So we're already helping ourselves a little bit. Now, what we will do to follow up this smoke, which is much easier than I showed at the beginning, we will follow this up from the same position with a crouch, and then you see this pillar, not the first line, but the second line, bottom of it while crouching. We follow this up with a Molotov. This Molotov lands and burns out in front of hot. So this guy who is wanting to be pushed out of hot and wants to be playing these trading positions, he now either gets forced out into a very uncomfortable spot, or he gets forced back into hot where he's unable to help his teammates. This also nullifies this angle, which if the T's have like a smoke up on main or something like this, and this guy is ready to swing for heaven, it pushes him out of position either on this side or on this side. It doesn't really make that big of a difference, but just now you know. Basically, the smoke pushes the hot player out, and the Molotov forces him either back in or forces him out into a bad position. Then, the next utility set that we will be using is from out here. It's a very easy lineup. What you do is you get stuck in this corner, and you put your crosshair in the top left like this. By doing this, you get a smoke that completely blocks off T-vent and door, meaning that when you are entering from main, you are able to clear top hot together with heaven. And after you've done this, you only have to look in one direction. I will have a video out on this specific scenario of only looking in one direction, but basically, when you do this smoke, you eliminate the need to look left, and so you can focus your attention on clearing angles one by one the entire time that you're trying to take the bomb site. What I found is interesting to follow up with this smoke is if you do the smoke, there is another screw here on main. If you have an HE and a Molotov as your AWP player keeping your set, if you aim down from the screw and you run a nade, this nade goes in and lands inside door. So if this guy who's playing T-vent decides to take a different angle in door where he can more easily see and have some cover and spam you as you're going out, he is going to take massive nade damage. And if you've also done the right thing of saving a Molotov, you can follow up immediately with a Molotov. It also goes inside the door, and now he gets pushed back further and is unable to make any aggressive plays. Afterwards, you will have at least one rifle player and your AWP player coming here. The AWP player will also have saved a flash, and the flash is going to be used just by bouncing off this wall. The reason this flash is good is because not only does it put pressure on main, so that anyone who is playing in these areas might want to peek main on timing, but also if you bounce the flash hard enough, this flash lands, so CT vent is going to be blinded by it, and it makes it so anyone who is ready to trade might be blind by the flash. Anyone who is playing Tetris and tucked in, ready to swing on main, will be blind. And this flash will, I would say 9 times out of 10 in a retake scenario, prompt a peek from the T, simply because they are looking to peek off of the flash to see if they can get that one kill. As you can imagine, right now the Ts, with all this utility, are very uncomfortable on the side and are now looking to see if they can even up the scores by getting a early kill on the retake. That is why when you bounce this flash allows you to wide swing across, and the rifle will wide swing across, clear this angle by himself. If no one is here, he can just cross to the left side. If someone is there, he will obviously take the duel. The reason he wide swings is because this guy has a full committed position and he can't move at all, as if he stands up, he will get killed from heaven, and if he just stays crouched, he needs to have perfect tracking aim to kill this CT player. Another added benefit of keeping your nade as the heaven player is that right as this flash is about to pop, you can just throw a bounce nade down here, and now you are easing up the duel for your rifle player swinging from main. He will swing across here, and as he does this, the AWP who bounced the flash will now swing and take this angle. This means that if the flash, like we talked about, prompts the peek out of the Tetris player to try and even the scores, he's now peeking directly into an orb trained on his angle. But this angle has multiple purposes, as if you don't kill the Tetris guy, or if the Tetris guy doesn't exist, if no one's playing there, or if he just chooses not to peek, well, the hot player that we worked on isolating inside hot with the Molotov earlier is likely going to try to make a play after the Molotov, and so on this flash might swing, to which the AWP is able to lock down 2 angles with just 1 angle. And having been the AWP in this scenario, I can tell you this is a very, very solid way of getting a sort of opening kill on the retake. So talking about the danger areas now, what is left? We've eliminated the need for looking left side by using this smoke, and we've either naded and then Molotov the door player, who in reality might die, but otherwise would be very low and very uncomfortable, not able to push through the smoke. We have made it so the Tetris guy, if he peeks, will 9 times out of 10 die. We've made it so that if the hot player wants to push out and peek, he will 9 times out of 10 die. We've made it so the guy playing the position that I call NaToSaphiX is now having a very tough duel on main. He's taking 50 damage from the nade if the heaven player has decided to save it. And in the case that the T back here in the NaToSaphiX position kills the rifle player, well, now our AWP takes one more step out and he trades anyway. The last 2 sort of danger areas is CT vent. Well, CT vent should be realistically flashed by the flash earlier. He might dodge it, of course, but even if he isn't, now the rifle player can move in. He's going out to take these angles, and on a timing, the heaven and the rifle player coming out of main will be able to peek CT vent together. You can imagine for the CT vent player having to fight this and also fight this at the same time is impossible, basically. And in this scenario where we've decided to play retake A, let's say we haven't had too many CTs die, there will be multiple people swinging from heaven, of course. Now, if there's one thing you could potentially do better, is that the rifle player swinging main will also have kept at least 1 flash. This will allow him to, when he swings across here and he gets this position, he's able to flash sight for his heaven players. Now this flash again has 2 benefits. It allows them to peek this and fight a guy who should be blind, but also this flash will make it so if CT vent is holding heaven, he will be blinded by this flash, and now he will be swung from both heaven by 2 players and also from the player coming from main. Now I've had a lot of talk about utility. I want to just show all the utility, and I will give you one more piece of utility that you can use in special cases, I guess. I want you guys to be able to visualize how the bomb site looks. The bomb site will look like this. with Molotov on door and Molotov here. As you can see, we've eliminated a lot of the real dangerous areas, and even for the ones that we haven't been able to eliminate with utility like Tetris and CT Vent, we are playing the retake in a way where they are having very poor duels. The Tetris guy having to peek into an orb is not good. The hot player wanting to swing, peeking into an orb is not good. And the CT Vent player fighting multiple people from different angles at the same time is also very uncomfortable. In fact, in CS2 as well, the CT Vent is very spammable. So for the main player, he doesn't even necessarily have to go out where he's visible for this smoke. He can just go here, spam, and as his spam comes through, now his Heaven players can swing. If the side player wants to peek the main rifle who comes out, either on this side or on this side, this is also something that will prompt a push from the Heaven guys, who are now going to swing out and kill this guy who is killing the main player. This is, in my opinion, a fantastic way of approaching the A side of Nuke. I'm not saying it should be a go-to round, because it's very counterable for the Ts, as we talked about earlier in the video. The Ts are able to come, like if they have the read that you're playing retake, if they rush A side, you're giving up the round for free. But if you use this to change up your default on CT Nuke, I promise you it will have a lasting effect on basically how the entire match plays out, as this plays into the conditioning aspect of Counter-Strike, and now the Ts are maybe less likely to hit the A-bomb side late, because you've shown that you are able to effectively counter this. Now, there are some scenarios where, let's say the AWP is simply not able to get over to main, or for whatever reason you have two smokes in Heaven. Now, I want just to show you what ways you can kind of use two smokes from Heaven to kind of give the same result. It is a little bit more dangerous because you have to go a little bit further forward Heaven, and you don't want to open yourself up to these headshot angles. But if you crouch and get stuck, you can get stuck in this corner. If you see, there is like a black part here and a screw here. I will in fact fly close. You see these 4 screws and like this darkened part. If you crouch and get stuck in here, and you aim on the left dark part and you crouch forward and you let go of your smoke, this is a way of smoking off T-Vent and door from Heaven, so you don't have to be doing this smoke every single time from main. And this is just about what I had to show for you guys today. I've been your host, NaToSaphiX. Yeah, on the NaToSaphiX channel, you probably had figured that. Yeah, I do a whole lot of things. I do coaching. There will be more about that in the description of this video. I also do Twitch streaming 5 days per week, so if that's something that you would like to go check out. I'm a very competitive player, a former professional in Counter-Strike, in fact. And yeah, if there's more things you would like to learn, that would be a great place to go to do so. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please leave a like and a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. My name is NaToSaphiX, and I'll see you guys in the next video.